Welcome back to Coffee Unlimited. If you are watching this episode on YouTube, you will see that Janelle and I are wearing our pajamas. And we are just loving these outfits so much that we're thinking that maybe this becomes our standard uniform. I mean, we started with sweats and then now we're like, no, let's do pajamas, especially for this very serious topic of micromanagers. So that's what we're going to get up to today. We want to talk about micromanagers, what it's like to be managed by a micromanager, what it has been like when we've noticed that tendency in ourselves to micromanage, what is
Mm,
the root of micromanagement. So we're going to be talking about all things micromanagement today. And Janelle, you
love
just
it.
look absolutely adorable in those
Thank
pinstriped.
you.
We didn't even plan the
Thank you. I
pinstripes.
know. Look at
Yes.
us. It really is a uniform.
That's right.
Pinstripes.
Uh,
I had to chuckle when you said that we went from wearing sweats to pajamas. Like we're just sinking lower and lower. Didn't we do an episode about lowering the bar? We did an
yes.
episode. First of all, actually, this will be our 22nd episode, Danielle. Can
You're
you believe
right.
it? Who would have thought
22nd.
we would
I
make it this
know.
far? And it
I
also
know.
makes me think, at what point is the first season over? Because I know it's like the
Oh,
first season, episode 22. Anyway, we'll decide that offline.
I
But
love
this is our
this.
22nd episode. I know we did one time around lowering the bar. I think we are so good at lowering the bar on so many things. And look at us, just podcasting in pajamas.
Exactly. Podcasting in pajamas
Why
and
not?
still looking very cute.
Actually, yeah. No,
Yeah.
we do have that going for us. So, micromanagers, I love this topic because I have a very specific opinion about micromanagers, and micromanaging that I hold.
Yeah.
And I do want to be a little bit more, maybe offer a little more grace because I do think that, well, first of all, I'll just put it out there. I think micromanaging is the worst. I think it is the
Yeah.
one of the worst things you can do in a culture, in an organization. I think it's a really bad leadership habit and a bad way to lead people
Hmm.
for a variety of reasons. Some of which are one, when you micromanage, you are basically imposing your way of doing things on everyone else. And that really stifles creativity and innovation on a team. Two, when you micromanage, you're creating a bottleneck for the work, because
Hmm.
typically when you're micromanaging, you are requesting that people run things past you frequently and get approval from you frequently. And those are extra steps that are really unnecessary and create this bottleneck for decision making and for projects to move forward.
Hmm.
And three, and this is my own personal bias, I think it sucks to be micromanaged as a person. Like when you are being micromanaged, I think it feels like you're not trusted. It feels like you are a minion being told what to do. It feels
Hmm.
like your ideas don't matter. And it's just not a good feeling. So, my opinion on the topic is very clear, as you can see. But what I will say is, I do think that there's room for some grace because when you mentioned this notion of when you and I have started micromanaging,
Hmm.
it it caused me to realize, yeah, you know what? There were times when I could it could be described as micromanaging people.
Hmm.
And when I think about why I stepped into that, it's out of fear, it was
Yeah.
out of, feeling pressure from above or feeling like things are getting out of control and I don't have a handle on things and feeling responsible as the leader,
Hmm.
feeling that sense of responsibility that things should be going smoothly. So I start asking more questions and I start, digging in and sitting in on meetings that I don't usually sit in on. And those are examples of micromanaging. And so when I think about my disdain for it, I also have some sympathy and empathy for people who are micromanagers because they're probably doing it from a place of fear.
Yeah.
And, it's not intended to be a stifling practice. They're not intending to stifle creativity. They're not intending to stifle innovation. They're not intending to make people feel miserable at work. Um,
Although
and they're
maybe they
really,
are.
well, you know what? Who
Like,
knows, right?
exactly, right? Who knows what their intention might be? I mean, maybe they do want
That's
to
a good
push
point.
somebody out. And so they're
Maybe.
like, this is a way. I don't know.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
I love everything that you shared. I'm wondering if we kind of stay in this micromanagement space. Like you shared some examples of, being the bottleneck and having to have everything run through the leader. I'm
Hmm.
wondering if we want to share some more examples of what micromanagement could look like, because I
Hmm.
wonder if you have a leader who doesn't have much self-awareness, they don't even know that they're a micromanager. But I think with you and I, we, hopefully have enough self-awareness where we recognize like, oh, I'm starting to micromanage. Like, let me take a beat
Hmm.
here and see what's going on. Am I in a place of fear? Like, or, do I feel like this person is quote unquote underperforming? And so I really need to be hand holding or I think I don't know if everybody does that. And I don't
Yeah.
know if every leader who is micromanaging is aware that they are. So I'm wondering if
Yeah.
we want to just kind of list some of the things based on our own experience of
Hmm.
when we've been micromanaged or seen
Hmm.
that.
Someone comes to mind for me that I felt was a micromanager years and years and years ago. When I vividly remember when I first started working on his team, we were having a one-on-one and he asked me to share my Outlook calendar with him so he would have visibility to all of my meetings throughout the day.
Mm,
And I'll never forget the feeling I had when he asked for that. And I actually, my gut reaction was why? Like I just literally could not understand why he would need to know what meetings I was in throughout the day.
hmm
Because he wasn't asking to join the meetings. He just said that he wanted visibility to who I was meeting with and what I was doing throughout the day.
hmm
And that to me felt like
Like an
Big Brother
invasion.
watching, an
Yeah, yeah.
invasion of privacy and lack of trust that I was, in the right meetings or, meeting with the right people or spending my time wisely.
hmm
Because well, we've talked about this before. I'm someone who schedules free time in my day
Yeah.
unapologetically. I do not feel ashamed to say that if I have a 9 to 5 schedule or 8 to 5 schedule, I will block out time for lunch for sure,
hmm
obviously, which maybe not obviously. A lot of people work through lunch, but
That's
I
true.
block out lunch so that I can just focus on decompressing, eating my food, talking with people, and
hmm
and getting away
Giving
from the
yourself
work.
a cognitive break, a much needed
Exactly.
cognitive break, so that
Exactly.
you can be productive, right? Like
Yes.
if we're just working through lunch, if we're working through without any breaks, we're just going to
Hmm.
feel that cognitive overload and not
Hmm.
perform well at all.
Exactly. I schedule workouts in at
hmm
Lululemon. I was scheduling meditations throughout the day. And so I was worried, and my reaction was part of fear, partially based on fear as well. I was worried that I was going to lose my freedom and
Mm.
that he was going to start questioning these free spaces I had in my day. Um, so long story short, I never shared my calendar. We just got to a place where we agreed to disagree, and I just never shared my calendar. He said it was from a place, not from a place of micromanaging, because I told him it felt like I was being micromanaged. I
Yeah.
used that word because I do think when you're communicating with your leaders that you need to be clear and specific. And so I wanted him to know this is what it feels like. I feel like
hmm
I'm being micromanaged. And he genuinely was surprised by that. And so again, I don't think he was intending to
Yeah.
micromanage in that request. He said, "Oh no." He goes, "I just, I just want to, have visibility, see who you're getting face-to-face time with, see if I can help. Like if you're not getting time with someone, if there's any way I can help." And so I said, I go, "Okay." I go, "Well, how about this? If I do need help, I'll come to you."
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
that's actually where we got to. I was like, you know what? You don't have to take time out of your day to look at my calendar. Like,
Right?
that seems extra for you. That seems like a waste of your time, actually, like logging into my calendar and like opening up
Absolutely.
my meetings to see who I'm meeting with.
Yeah.
When in reality, just let's have an open communication where if I am not getting time with a senior leader that I need to, and
Mm-hmm.
I need help, and I need you to open a door for me, I will come to you and ask for it. And we
Yeah.
will go open that door together.
Yeah. Good for you for
Hmm.
pushing back. I
Yeah.
mean, I think so many people don't do that. If a
Hmm.
request comes from their leader, they feel
Hmm.
like I have no options. I have
Yeah.
to comply with that request. It reminds me of that because when I stepped into a leadership role, it was already the team norm that everybody shared their calendars, like
Mm.
amongst the whole team.
Yes. Yeah.
And so everybody had access to me. I didn't even think about that, like,
Hmm.
how that it could be kind of an invasion. And then I remember that when I became a leader, and then one of the team members had asked me to share my calendar. And at first I was like, oh, yeah, sure. But then I was like, wait a second. No, the leader really should not be sharing the calendar to like, I mean, there's sometimes sensitive meetings,
Sensitive.
right?
Yes.
And then I
Confidential
quickly was
meetings.
like,
Yes.
retract. And then I was like, you know what?
Hmm.
Let's just stop this. If you want to share, fine. If you don't,
Yeah.
who cares? But I would
Yes.
remember like just also getting new team members. I could tell that they would come from a micromanaging environment because
Mm.
they would tell me like, okay, I'm going to be offline from
Yeah.
1 to 1:45. I have this. I'm like, you know what? You do you. Like, I'm not
Hmm.
here. I, first of all, do not expect an immediate response on anything,
Mm.
right? Like,
Emails, messages, anything. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
I
yeah.
do expect some sort of response. And I think this is where having a designed alliance at the beginning of a relationship and something that you can bring in throughout the course of the work relationship, I think is helpful. But
Hmm.
like getting all of your expectations out or as much as you can think of out. So there's clear expectations on both sides. But like I do expect to have a response within 48 hours on a work
Hmm.
day, right? Like a
Hmm.
work week. Even if it's
Yep.
like, I got this request, I hear your request, I don't have a solve for this yet, or, I'm just thinking out loud right now, but I'm going to have something by next week, right?
Yeah.
Instead of like
Yeah.
crickets. Like after a few days,
Hmm.
I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, did they even read my emails? Um, I love that example. So I was thinking about an example where I felt micromanagement. Maybe you can tell me if this is micromanagement or if this is just something else. But I remember having a friendship with a leader, and
Hmm.
then my direct manager reported into them.
Okay. Yeah.
And so my direct manager really didn't like that I had a
Mm.
friendship
Hmm.
with that person.
Yep.
And so they were like, "Oh, I really don't want you to be." I mean, they came out and just said, like, "I don't want you to be talking to them." And it was just like,
That's wild.
okay. Yeah, like
That's
they're
wild.
gonna text me and I'm just gonna, what am I gonna say to them?
Yeah.
Like your direct report
Yeah.
doesn't feel comfortable that we have a friendship.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's one of the ways in which I just felt like my manager
That's
didn't trust
micromanaging.
me. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's micromanagement.
Basically, I think if you're telling someone how to spend their time or how to get their work done, you are micromanaging. That is too detailed. Because if you think about what is micromanaging, it is getting into the details and being very prescriptive. That's typically how I would describe micromanaging. In a micro scale, you're managing someone on a micro scale as opposed to a macro scale where you're up here, you're setting a direction, you're ensuring they have what they need, you're creating a culture. That's one form of managing.
Mm-hmm.
That is management. That's managing a team. That's managing workflows. That's managing workloads. I think that's an important part of a manager is to make sure that you understand when some people are overloaded and some people are under and you're adjusting. That's
Mm-hmm.
part of managing a team and making sure that they know what the goals are for the team, know where we're heading and how they're doing, giving feedback.
Yeah.
But when you get prescriptive and you're micro, you're in the weeds, you want daily updates or weekly updates and
Mm-hmm.
all the details.
You want to be
That
copied on all emails.
copied on all emails. Yes, that's a
Who
good
wants that?
example.
Like, I mean, who
That's,
wants to
you
read these
know,
freaking boring ass emails in the
yes.
first place?
Yes. Well, and that's the thing, when I hear people saying that they're so busy, and don't get me wrong, people are really busy at work. Because, but that's a whole different thing. That's just too many strategic priorities that an organization has, like
Mm-hmm.
just signing up for too much. That is the root of the problem is when senior leaders set 17 priorities for a year.
Yeah.
That's insane. Um, so there's that. But people are busy. But I do think a lot of busyness is self-inflicted when they request to be copied on everything. And now you've
Mm-hmm.
got an inbox with 300 messages because you wanted to be copied on everything. If you
Yeah.
actually just let people do their thing and didn't need to be copied and didn't need to read all the emails and all that, you actually have a lot more free time than
Absolutely.
you originally thought.
I know. I just remember requesting, please do not copy me. Because again, like when a new team member would come
Yeah.
in, I could tell, oh, yeah,
Hmm.
you had a micromanager because here you are copying me on all these emails. Do not
Hmm.
flood my inbox. I'm not going to
Yes.
read this. If I'm copied on it,
No.
I'm not reading it. Right? Like, forward it
Yep.
to me if I need to read something.
Yep. Yep.
But
I think, and it's another example. Being copied on everything is another example of a leader who feels they need to know everything. They need to be in the know on everything. That is micro managing,
hmm
getting into the details, into the weeds of everything that happens. That is not necessary. You can be a
yeah.
highly successful team and a highly successful leader and when giving your team autonomy and letting them run with things, make
Yeah.
their own decisions, as long as you're providing the appropriate amount of guidance and direction,
hmm
and you're there for them when they need it. So, like, go back to that example when your team does need you to open a door for them or to be an ally for them, with a cross-functional partner, you have the time to be there for them
hmm
because you create space in your day. You're not micromanaging. Sure, I'll join you in that meeting and I'll have your back in that meeting.
Yeah.
That's a good use of a leader's time when they're
hmm
asked to be there.
I love that distinction of being asked to be there. I remember
Hmm.
being in a meeting with some executives, and there were so many unnecessary people in that meeting.
Hmm.
And I started to think about the salaries of
Oh,
every person in that
I
meeting.
think that's a byproduct of being in HR and kind of knowing what people make too.
Oh,
Yeah, my mind started doing that too. I was just like calculating the numbers. I'm like, well, this hour-long meeting is costing us this much in wage-based dollars.
exactly. And
Yeah.
I left that meeting
Mm.
thinking, wow, we really lack trust. Because
Hmm.
like it was the manager, the direct report, their direct report, and
Yep.
speaking to the CEO, it's like, why do we have to have three layers of leadership, even two?
Yeah.
Unless you're
Yeah.
bringing your direct report to your manager's meeting,
To be
your
able to speak for
one-on-one.
themselves. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And you let them share their updates.
exactly. And even
That's
then,
different.
I
Yeah.
even then I would be like, why am I even here? Like, yeah, have meet with Janelle. Great, cool. Yeah, let me know if you need anything from me. But right, like give
Yeah.
yourself the gift of time.
Hmm.
So we
Yeah.
talked about invasion of
Hmm.
privacy in terms of impact. We talked a little bit
Mm.
about trust too. Like I didn't feel
Yeah.
trusted from my leader. Is there anything else in terms of like how it feels to be
Yeah.
micromanaged?
I, and you know this about me, one of my core values is freedom.
Mm,
As a person, I need to feel free. So I, and I know that's, and maybe this isn't a good example because not, maybe this isn't for everybody, but at the heart of freedom is, wide boundaries to think big, to experiment, with a different way of solving a problem. I think at the heart of it is creativity too. Like I feel like I
mm,
have the most creativity when I'm free. And so I know I felt like my creativity was stifled when
hmm
I was being micromanaged. And when, I would say I would want to go a certain direction and I would be pulled back into the middle. I'd start to go out this way and I'd be pulled back into the middle. Nope, 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 that's not how we do it here. Nope, that's not going to work. Nope, no, no,
hmm
no. That's also micromanaging, and you're really prescriptive, right? So I do think that a big impact to an individual is they stop thinking for themselves. They stop providing their ideas because like why even do it if you're going to constantly be told that's not going to work here or that's not how we do it or no we're going to do it this way. And
hmm
so then you're leaving a lot on the table as an organization. When you think about why a diverse um, organization will always outperform a homogenous organization, it's because diverse organizations have access to a broader set of perspectives, a broader set of experiences, more diverse ways of problem solving. And when you micromanage, you're taking away the diversity of thought that each individual on your team brings. And
hmm
so, down the road, that just hurts the bottom line of an organization too. That's one of the reasons why I think micromanaging is one of the worst leadership traits is you're not going to be an innovative company if you don't allow your employees to have freedom to do things their own way and to experiment and to just run with stuff. Um, so yeah, that just
I
went a whole bunch
think,
of different directions. D&I,
oh
innovation.
yeah. But I feel
But you
like you
start
just,
to see how insidious micromanaging can be and how
hmm
harmful it can be. It harms the culture, harms how people feel, but it actually harms your bottom line as an
yeah,
organization.
yeah, harms your bottom line. I mean, it really harms the well-being of the individual too, right? Like when
Mm-hmm.
I have been micromanaged, I don't sleep well. I feel
Mm-hmm.
anxiety to open up my inbox, to get to work. I don't want to be there. And
Mm-hmm.
instead, I'm, struggling just every day. And when you're in a leadership position and you're being micromanaged, then it's so challenging. I guess this is the middle management piece is
Yeah.
you you don't want to tell all your direct reports.
Yeah.
My leader is a freaking micromanager and my anxiety levels are up to here, people. Right? Like you're kind of trying to
Yeah.
not do that to them and
Mm-hmm.
not put the stress of whatever you're dealing with onto your team. So I feel like it's such a challenging space.
Yeah, it's toxic. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really toxic,
toxic.
but it is challenging. You bring up a really good point, and maybe we can wrap it up here is that middle management. Like, I remember that feeling when I had a team below me and I wanted to foster trust and creativity and innovation.
Yeah.
And then I had a new leader that had come in temporarily and
hmm
was just asking so many questions. And I did give her some grace for a bit because I was like, oh, She's new. She, of course, needs to understand what's going on, get up to speed. But after a couple months of it, then I realized, oh no, this is just how she leads. And I thought, oh no, because with her needing so much detail,
Mm-hmm.
that required me to get a lot more detail,
Yeah.
like the fine-tuned tooth detail, which I just never bothered getting. Like I just, in my opinion, I didn't need that. I didn't need the hour by hour breakdown of this project.
Mm-hmm.
And but if my boss wants it, then I have to get it. And
Yeah.
so it's passing that stress and anxiety and extra work too.
Yeah.
That is what I always felt like micromanaging felt like to me was extra work.
Yeah.
It's not just extra work on the leader who's reading all the extra emails and reading all the updates and all that, but it's so much extra work on the employee who has to generate all of that for you because you want it.
Mm-hmm. I'm just feeling, I'm so
Mhm.
happy we're wearing our pajamas for this because I don't have a bra on. And I like even this conversation, like
Free.
going into
Yeah.
the micromanagement, it's like I'm going
Hmm.
back to that space of being micromanaged
Yes.
or just
Yes.
experiencing that. And so I'm just happy that at least my body feels free, even though I'm
Yeah.
kind of
You and
going
I
into that
both.
constricted space. Before we wrap up, I'm just
Yeah.
thinking about, okay, what takeaways? Let's say
Hmm.
you're being micromanaged right now.
Hmm.
Your leader
Yeah.
is a micromanager.
Yep.
Quit that job, girl.
Either quit or at least address it. You know what? I I don't know if this is the right thing to do, but even as I quit jobs,
Yeah.
I take it upon myself to give that leader a parting gift.
Oh, yes. And sometimes
A
you post that
parting
on
gift of some
LinkedIn.
awareness.
I love it. Your parting gifts have so much wisdom and actionable feedback, actionable
Hmm.
takeaway that I love
Yep.
it when you also post that publicly on LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, yeah. Then it goes on LinkedIn.
Okay, so if you quit, then
So,
yeah, give
okay,
some
so
feedback.
you can quit, absolutely. And never be ashamed of choosing yourself and choosing, what is best for you, what work environment is best for you.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you don't want to quit, or if you want to give a parting gift, um, this is what I always do. I take a moment to myself and I write down, because I'm still old school paper, so I get a
Mm-hmm.
notebook
Mm-hmm.
and I start to craft what feedback I want to give the leader. And I usually start with specific examples. When you did this, or when
Yeah.
this happened, this is how I felt. And I always take it to how I feel because usually, human to human,
Yeah.
people can relate and they can soften a bit. Some people get very defensive very quickly, and sometimes there's nothing you can do to control that. But I start with how I feel, how it felt. And then I usually offer up an alternative way something could have been handled.
Mm.
So I will give an example of how it could have been requested or why I didn't think the request was necessary. Like, let's use the calendar as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you let me know why you're doing it. Thank you. And there's another way you can get that information that
Yeah.
seems like makes a lot more sense.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's another way that when if your intention is to help me get visibility to leaders in the organization and make sure that I'm getting face time with senior leaders in the organization, instead of going into my calendar to check when I'm meeting with them, I can give you an update. And if I'm getting meetings canceled from those senior leaders, I will let you know,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can follow up with them or something. So I usually always have an alternative solution of how things could have occurred that would have been better for
Mm-hmm.
me or for the team, because sometimes I'm speaking on behalf of my team.
Yeah.
So I craft it all out on paper. I review it a bunch. I schedule a one-on-one and I give them a heads up that I want to give them feedback
Mm-hmm.
because I don't ever want to blindside somebody either. I don't want anyone to feel like this came out of left field or they're not prepared to hear it.
Mm.
Um, so I will let someone know that, I'm scheduling a one-on-one, I'm scheduling 30 minutes for us, or, can we get coffee? I really want to share, how I've been feeling and give some feedback. And so that way, they're prepared. They know something is coming. And I might give a little teaser. I might give an example. Hey, I really want to talk about that meeting from
Hmm.
yesterday. And talk through how that felt or how I think that could have gone.
Yeah.
So yeah, so then it's as productive a conversation as possible because if whether I quit or I leave the organization or I go to a different team, someone is going to replace me and they're also going to be under that leader. And I have to I have to think that most people do not like being micromanaged. So if I can help a leader have a little bit more awareness of the impact of the things that they're doing, then I will give that to them. If not for them, at least for the person that comes after me.
Yeah. That's such great advice. I think the human to human relating
Hmm.
on that level and going back to how you feel is so helpful. And you're right, you can't control how they react, but I
Yeah.
love everything you shared. I'm thinking just lastly, from a leader's perspective,
Yeah.
right?
How
Like
would
if
you,
they're,
Danielle, like if you said that, you've caught yourself sometimes
Mhm.
micromanaging. How do you What typically occurs when you realize it? Like what are you noticing? How do you notice it? And then what do you do to clean that up?
I'm trying to think back, but I probably notice it first in my body.
Mm,
Because I really like to focus on like what's my physiology? Like what's going on with my physiology?
yeah.
Maybe I'm not sleeping. So I might be waking up in the middle of the night and thinking about a person on the team. And
Mm-hmm.
then so that's already like a red flag. Like, okay, you're putting a lot of attention and energy on this one person, and it's negative attention. So then I start to watch my behavior with them and then ask like, okay, what is it that they're doing that is making me feel like I need to know more?
Mm,
And I mean, luckily I haven't had a whole bunch of micromanagers. It has happened a couple of
yeah.
times and it's yeah, been an absolute toxic experience, but sometimes even without having a micromanager, I have micromanaged.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the reason why is the trust. Like the trust was
Mm,
broken in something, and the necessary work to repair that trust wasn't like really laid out on the table. So I think, in coaching, you say like, name what it is, name
mm,
what's going on. And so if I were to go back and like redo, some of those moments where I felt like, that wasn't the best leadership. I wasn't the best leadership role model in that scenario. Those big mistakes we learn from. I think I would have just said, hey, trust has been broken. Like
mm,
when you did this, it just like I just now feel like I don't have that trust that we had before.
mm-hmm.
And then just get curious and have a conversation
Yeah.
with them, like what was going on with you? Because usually, like human to human, when you ask questions and get curious, then they're sharing something where you're like, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
I made up a
Yeah.
full-on story about trust
Yeah.
and it has nothing to do with that, right?
And really what you're doing is just getting to the heart of the situation as opposed to um circling it through actions of, let's say, micromanagement or something
Yeah.
else,
Yes,
passive aggressive behavior, whatever. Yeah.
totally. But I mean,
Hmm.
I love to, make sure that every person on my team feels safe and they feel like they can give me feedback anytime. They can share feedback to their peers. They can share feedback to my manager. They can share innovative ideas. Like I always want to be an advocate for creating a space like that. So within the last few years of leadership, I have proactively scheduled time, especially after like the year-end review, after their bonuses and their merit and all of that have been accounted for. Then I ask everybody annually, like, I
Mm.
want a one-on-one for me where you actually rate me and give me my rating. Tell me
Wow.
what I need to improve. Where can I be a better leader? What are some of my blind spots? So that's
I
something I
love
started to
that.
do just over the last few years. But then like going over to Van City was so refreshing when you were starting that work of 360s. Are you okay? Are you having a
I'm
little?
about to sneeze.
Oh, it's
I'm
just
good.
okay. But yeah, doing the 360s. And
Yes.
I know not every organization has that kind of um, time or resources to implement a really inclusive and intentional 360. But I think as a leader, even without that tool, even
Yeah.
without like having the tool and
You
all
can
of the
just do it
support,
yourself.
yeah, yeah, just do one like grassroots style, right?
I love it. I love it. And bring some awareness to who you are as a leader and your impact to others. So good. So good. Sorry, I have a tickle in my throat now.
Okay.
But Danielle, thank you so much. For anyone that's listening, thank you for joining us on our pajama episode where we talk about a very serious topic, like you said, of leadership and micromanagement. And, if you enjoyed this conversation, make sure you subscribe. We release new episodes every Wednesday, usually. And yeah, we'll see you next week. So thank you. Thanks everybody. Thanks Danielle.